Hi, this is Neil Walters with free CSharpTutorials.com. People are often asking me how you do arrays, so I thought I'd put this little video together to show you how to do arrays in C#. I'm starting out here by defining an array of size 3. So you put the square brackets on the left to indicate that it's an array, and then on the right side, this is where you specify the number of your array. The size of the array. We'll talk about later how you can have dynamic arrays. This will be an array that's fixed in size. And I name my string array by the name myStates. And then here I use that same variable name, and then you see in the square brackets I put the subscript after that. And I'm putting simply 3 states here. Now notice that the length of the array is 3, but of course in C# or .NET, arrays begin at subscript 0. So we have 0, 1, and 2, which is 3 items in our array. And now there are 2 ways we can loop through our array. So I'm going to demonstrate here loop 1, and then secondly we'll do loop 2. So in loop number 1 we're going to use the foreach statement, and in loop 2 we're just going to do the regular for statement. So when we do a foreach, we define a variable here of type, same type. If this is a string, we need to make this a string. And instead of calling it myStates with an S on the end, I'm just going to call it singular. Of course I could put X or any other variable here I want, but it makes more sense to keep it consistent. So as I loop, this value, myState, will be set to the enumerator of myStates wherever we're enumerating. So I'm going to put a loop counter in here just so we know where we're at in our loop, and I'm going to display loop counter plus myState, singular. And so myState, the first time will be Texas, second time Oklahoma, and the third time will be California. So notice we did not need to use a subscript here because we were using the foreach statement. In the second loop example, I'm going to use the standard type of looping that we've seen for years, where you have a subscript. And it goes probably back to the days of Fortran, where a lot of people use I and J for their subscript variables. So I'm going to say J equals 0. I'm going to initialize that value, and then I'm going to loop until, or while actually, loop while J is less than the length of myStates. So you notice when you type in here myStates dot, you see a bunch of different properties, and an important one is length, and that tells you the size of the array, which in our case will be 3. We'll talk more about these other variables that are available in a future video. So I'm going to loop from 0 while it's less than 3. So we should loop 0, 1, and 2 basically. And then we're going to increment J every time we loop. And we don't actually need the loop counter in this example because we're using J. So I'm going to display the value J, and then now I'm going to put myStates, plural, which is the name of my array, followed by J, my subscript. And now I'm going to run that. And the results should be the same, loop 1 and loop 2. Here's one slight difference is in the second one I'm actually displaying J is 0, 1, 2. In the first one I'm displaying loop counter, which is 1, 2, 3. So in the second example, if you actually wanted to say that Texas was the first state instead of the 0 state, one thing you could do is you could come in here and right here just put J plus 1. I would probably put it in parentheses just to make it slightly more readable. And now debug start. So internally, of course, we know that Texas is the 0 item in the array and Oklahoma is the subscript 1. But when you're displaying the information to users, users usually think 1, 2, 3, not 0, 1, and 2. So that concludes this little demo, and we'll do some more demos on C# arrays on our website, free CSharpTutorials.com.